The season of the witch is upon you.
You know you've always wanted to be together. This is what you've always wanted.
She's here.
Are you scared, bro?
Welcome everyone to Ring the Bell. This is Diaz.
And the Sriracha Muchacha, Paloma Star. Did you get your lips done?
Do you love it? It's very plump and voluptuous.
It's very misty.
It is Ring the Bell's first face mask series. This is the first one we put on our Teespring Green Mist. A lot of things happened this week. Some great stuff, some questionable stuff. Extreme Expose ripoff came back. I don't know. But let's get right into it. SmackDown, Lacey Evans versus Naomi.
I mean, for them to acknowledge hashtag Naomi deserves better, they're not really giving her better. They're not giving her more. Like, a 5-minute match is not what she deserves. I don't know really what's going on, but I feel like they try to do a lot in a very short amount of time. So I feel it felt very rushed.
Okay.
Both women are very talented. Both women are super athletic and they both have great characters, but they're not even given a chance for that to shine. And I know there was like a little botch of that sunset flip or Canadian Destroyer. I don't know what they were trying to do. And I feel that's just because of they were being rushed. I don't think it's because they couldn't do it or anything like that. It was just, I feel like it was rushed, or maybe they cut off time all last minute, or maybe they're going past their time. Maybe the ref told them in the middle of the match, hey, take it home. And that can totally throw you off. I definitely been in situations like that where I'm in a match, I'm in my groove, and all of a sudden the ref tells you, take it home. And you're like, oh crap, what I do. I just feel like it was super rushed. And these two women I know can put on a great show, but it's not happening.
About the specific outside flip spot, there were a lot of conversations about it, and Naomi had to address it on Twitter saying that it's just a sliding blockbuster, not a Canadian destroyer. Not something I try to copy from someone else. It's just a move I thought of because I like blockbusters and wanted a different way to do it, but anyways, I'll improve it. So she had to have a whole statement out about it. I mean, was it that big of a deal?
No, okay. So I think the Canadian destroyer is like the indie super move now, and everybody and their mother is doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she had to address it. But I feel like she didn't have to say anything, honestly. Like, she shouldn't have to be explaining to herself. But I feel like maybe that's why. I don't think it was as bad or as controversial for her to explain it. Come on.
Oh my god, the indie smarks were whenever they see Canadian Destroyer, they get a big boner on. So the
totally, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
That's it used to be the super kick. That was the big indie move, super indie move, but now it's the Canadian Destroyer. And now before, I remember first seeing the Canadian Destroyer, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do that move, but I just don't understand how the physics of it works. And now it's seen as a transitional move. It's not even seen as a finisher. Now it's just a rest hold practically. So.
But I think you're right. It was very rushed in a sense that both of them in that given time, they try to show off their ability. So they were being pretty ambitious. They were really fun spots. The powerbomb catch spot was kind of fun. So they were trying what they could do with what they're given, but it seems like it just didn't flow as well as they hoped they wanted it to.
Yeah, I felt like they tried to put a lot of spots in a short amount of time and then just ended up being convoluted and not as well as it could have been. So super random, but this is where they get you in tryout matches, because in tryout matches, you legit have 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes from start to finish to put on a match in hopes to get hired. And they're not looking for power bombs or Canadian destroyers or anything. They're just looking to see if you could follow instructions and if you could put on a match in that short amount of time. Well, I'm not saying that this was a tryout match by any means. I'm just saying that this is what trying to do a lot in a little bit of time does. I'm just kind of confused. If WWE is going to acknowledge the whole Naomi deserves better movement, then give her more. Then at least work for her to get more. So I don't think they're doing a good job at this at all.
Mandy Rose is back.
Yay! With shorter hair.
Yeah. Well, she didn't come back with shorter hair, but she's leaving with the shorter hair. I have to ask you, because I'm not very knowledgeable about straight sexual innuendos. So she was saying that there will be a little peach sundae in a whipped cream and chocolate drizzled everywhere. I'm like, is that a sex joke? Am I not getting something?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is that what she's talking about?
I don't know. She was very sensual about it. So I'm like, I don't know where they're getting it. After that little like sensual food talk with Otis, Sonya Deville.
Out of nowhere,
Oh my god.
she came in hot. I mean, I'm not only hot looking, but she was hot and fiery and intense. She just came in out of nowhere. I was like, oh. And honestly, she brought in that intensity and that like fierceness that it's like she hasn't been gone for forever. Because I feel like sometimes when people are gone for a while, it kind of takes a little bit for them to ease back into it. But no, she was picked right up where she left off.
She probably brought the intensity just because they were off TV for so long. Let's make sure that they remember us.
Like, remember this cool thing we were doing? It's back.
I love that she's like, what do you have now? I'm going to take away your beauty.
I mean, I don't think smearing some lipstick on her and cutting off a couple of her extensions is really taking away her beauty. I can kind of see where they're going, but I was just like, oh, that's it? Maybe beat her up a little bit more and give her a black eye, something more permanent that she can't just do with a little makeup wipe.
Do you think this is heading into the hair versus hair match that we talked about a couple weeks ago?
100% thought that right away as soon as she busted out the clippers and the shears and everything that she needed. Like, I was like, is this it? Are we gonna have a hair versus hair match at SummerSlam? I hope so. I mean, it has to be something like that, because like, how else are you gonna end this? Or like, what's gonna be the big payoff? Like, it can't be just like a regular match, especially with her doing that.
It definitely looks like what they're building into, especially with the Sonya Deville with the clipper.
You have to. I mean, sometimes the obvious is the way to go, and I really hope they go that way.
And like, I was surprised last time we talked about it on News and Rumor. A lot of people were not into the idea.
I know, and it's the thumbnail you used. Oh my god, I was dying. I was dead.
I photoshopped it on both of them.
It's so good.
I hope none of them sue me for defamation or anything. I honestly think it's going to be great. The hair versus hair match.
And that's one of those matches that is not done as often. It's a good payoff when it's done right.
And I think there's a reason for it. Like, Sonya has a reason.
It actually makes sense.
She wants to take away Mandy's blonde, beautiful hair. She wants to get rid of the beauty. So I think like storyline wise, it makes sense too. So I'm all for it.
Totally, for sure. Let's do it.
The only thing about that match though is that pretty obvious that if anyone, Sonya's gonna shave.
I know. I mean, maybe. No, it's gonna be.
Maybe Mandy will surprise us. Let's go to Nikki Cross versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
How many times have they wrestled now? I don't know. I feel like I've seen it before. I wasn't too excited about it. The only thing that's really a little bit fresh is the whole interaction with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, with Nikki Cross kind of alluding to her craziness that she had in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I honestly can't say I was necessarily excited.
We've just seen the match between them in Extreme Rules. It was very much of a repetitive of that. Like, Nikki was again attacking Bayley very, very quickly. Sasha gave her the boss, the ring thing, which failed this time. So there's kind of a story progression, but not really.
I mean, it was good, but like you said, it was too similar, too soon. Like, if they're gonna do it again, maybe, I don't know, wait till next week or something. I don't know. It just didn't really excite me. It was fine. I don't think it was terrible, but it wasn't anything that made me want to tune in again or see where this goes.
WWE knows this, so this is a little tip from me working in the corporate. So whenever they make a match, they always, right next to the match, they put when was the last time they wrestled. Yeah, that's always what they're thinking of. I feel like when they booked this match, the producers were seeing that they just wrestled recently. So they should have came up with something fresher, something drastically different to give it a different feel. But I think they kind of failed on that part, except for the ending, of course.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So Nikki Cross shoved Alexa, and out of nowhere, the lights went off. There were a lot of technical difficulties, by the way, the entire week. But anyway, the lights went off, the red light. The other thing, I am not an expert in men's wrestling, but Fiend is here. Explain to me what the hell is going on.
I don't really know. Okay, so I thought that the only reason Alexa Bliss was even brought up was because that whole weird, terrible match that Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt had, because Alexa and Braun were a tag team in that mixed match challenge. Yeah. And I know they had a whole bunch of awkward, weird sexual tension that the internet kept on shipping them. And also I feel like it was never touched on or brought up or even said again. So I didn't think anything else was going to happen from it. And then all of a sudden the Fiend comes over here and is fisting Alexa. Mandible claw.
Mandible claw.
I think I blushed because of that. I don't know. I just didn't think it was gonna go anywhere else, and all of a sudden we're going there. So
People were talking about, oh my god, this is the time Alexa's gonna be Sister Abigail, blah blah blah, and I was like, I'm so sick of Sister Abigail talk at this point. And I realized that Sister Abigail was actually Bray's drag persona.
and also the whole Sister Abigail thing was more when Bray Wyatt was with the whole Wyatt family.
Oh yeah,
like a Louisiana, Southerner thing, not so much of this new Mr. Rogers / Fiend Wyatt.
so it's not gonna be Sister Abigail. I feel like the Fiend is just taking control of Alexa to meddle with Braun Strowman.
That's what I think too, because I don't think it's gonna be Sister Abigail. I don't know. I'm not as excited for this as like everybody else is. I don't know.
If anything, I want to see Nikki. I mean, any women being involved with such a strong character like the Fiend is an interesting development. But I feel like Alexa is already a very charismatic performer. She's a great promo. So if anything, I don't know if she's a person that will benefit the most from joining Fiend. I feel like there are other people who sometimes lacks charisma, sometimes lacks promo, that can benefit from very heavy storyline, character development, angles like this. What I'm trying to say is that she doesn't need this.
And I also think it was kind of random. I don't know. I didn't really necessarily like connect the dots right away on like why this is happening. Or like I said, I'm not really excited for it, or like everybody was like freaking out about it, and like Twitter was going crazy, and I even got a couple people messaging me about it. I'm just like, oh.
As you said, for weeks, Alexa seems kind of down in her energy. Yeah. She seems kind of lost for a little bit. It's an interesting new angle to kind of replenish her energy. Yeah.
And it's not so much even like a diss on Alexa. It's just like two completely random things just being thrown together at once. Like, I want to see more of her, but I don't necessarily think if it's this. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll be proven wrong and it'll be like great, and we'll be like, oh my gosh. I'm just kidding. We're not.
I mean, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Anyway, let's go to Raw. Before we start reviewing it, apparently there's a news that they put together this entire show in a day. They only had 2
Oh no, I'm having technical difficulties.
Oh, what happened?
I'm not.
Oh, I was like...
No, I was just being wrong.
Apparently, they only had like 2 segments confirmed going into the show, and everything else they just kind of like just pull it together, whatever.
You could tell, like they were just tried anything and everything. Like this was the Raw where like everybody bring your ideas. We're gonna do all of them, and no idea is too stupid. You wanted a fight club? We'll do it. You want a random faction? For sure, we'll do it. Poisoning? We got that.
Let's talk about everything that's happened. I think some of them worked really well, some of them were disastrous. But starting from... Okay, let's get rid of the weird stuff. Nia Jax. What the hell was that?
Who is Pat Buck?
So Nia Jax was suspended for stripping Pat Buck last week. And then this week, Pat Buck and Nia Jax are out there, and Nia's going to do like a public apology, which she didn't do. And she was like, are you scared, bro?
Are you scared, bro?
The only logical way that I can see them booking this is to make sure that Nia is more of a heel, she's more annoying, and she is devastating that she can destroy this guy.
But this doesn't make sense. First of all, she was gone forever with an injury. She comes back, and then she leaves again, and now she's gonna leave again. I don't necessarily know what the outcome or what the purpose of this segment was, but I will tell you this, it did not achieve it. Like, whatever it is that we're trying to do, it did not work. It really didn't make any sense at all. Like, how many times have you if you want to go that route, how many other times have other wrestlers, like beat up backstage people and all this stuff, and nothing has ever happened? And how are you gonna bring her back? Then she leaves, and bring her back again. She leaves. I really don't understand what's going on. I just thought like, oh, maybe intergender wrestling. Here it comes finally. And the whole show was weird. And this was one of the weirdest things.
We've seen cases of like the intergender wrestling, the WWE's version of it, where it is booked to show how dominant the women is. So like Asuka with the chinless guy. What's his name?
James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth. Rhea Ripley versus Robert Stone. Like, those are the match. And you can see that the men are like super scared of the women. They're like, it works to show that these women are strong and they're badass. And I feel like that's what it's supposed to show. But Pat Buck's performance, I don't know. I feel like he was there to kind of like get himself over for some reason. He was not looking like he was really selling how intimidating Nia was. And then I don't even know why she's gone. Like, why is she suspended? The only logical sense that I can can make is that they obviously dropped Shayna and Nia from last week.
Mhm.
They obviously dropped it. There's no follow-up to it this week. We're going to talk about it later, but Shayna's going to like wait around to see what happens to Asuka and Sasha at SummerSlam. That's like what literally she said. Shayna's already waiting. They're giving some excuse for Nia to wait because it's like weird that two super dominant challengers in Raw are just sucking their thumbs waiting to see what's
I know it doesn't make sense.
yeah, so they're
Nope.
trying to give some kind of excuse. As much as the main storyline with the whole double championship thing is impactful, this is a ripple effect to other women in the roster where they have nothing to do.
Yep. Doop doo doo.
Yeah.
Doop boop doo. Just waiting.
What I did really like was the whole situation with Riot Squad.
I know, that was fun.
So we saw a KO show where Ruby Riot came out. She is a certified good actor. I like it.
She really is. Yeah, she did a really good job for sure. I believed her. I mean, it made sense. And I liked how like Kevin Owens like brought her out and like was helped move the story along. Cause I feel like sometimes whenever they have like women on like talk shows or whatever, it's just like this is kind of pointless. But I feel like this actually made sense on why the Riot Squad was mad to begin with and why they want to be together again, as opposed to like all of a sudden they're together. This talk show setting was a good way of explaining the story a little bit better. Because for the longest time, I was like, so why are they mad at each other? Dad, what's going on? At least we got a little bit more of a backstory, a little bit more of like a follow up to that, more of a reasoning and more of a motive. And I thought it was even kind of cool how they mentioned Sarah too, how they're like, oh, she moved on with a different part of her life. I'm like, oh, I'm glad they acknowledged that there was a third member of the Riot Squad.
They mentioned Sarah, they mentioned tattoo they share. The whole Riot Squad storyline, there was definitely materials to go off of. But their storyline was booked so inconsistently throughout the whole time. Like Liv came back and then Ruby came to attack Liv, but there was no follow-up to it. They didn't have any interaction, Elimination Chamber, the pay-per-view right after that. There just wasn't enough storyline. So they have to explain everything in this one segment. They were given like 15 minutes, the entire thing with the match combined. So I'm glad that they finally got that chance to finally tell the full story.
And explain what's actually going on. Like, it's kind of bad because they shouldn't have to do this. They shouldn't have to be a talk show to explain what's going on.
Mhm.
But I'm glad that they did.
And I think there were parts where it was overly emotional, but I understand because they have to tell their entire story in this one segment.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think it worked because it is very clear that Liv and Ruby are like actual good friends.
Yeah.
And I think that chemistry really worked when they were out there together.
Yeah, even with Kevin Owens, that worked too. Because I feel like Kevin Owens and Ruby Riott have actually like similar paths career-wise. So I thought it was kind of cool for them to like help each other out for that. Will say though, I wish it wasn't a 2-segment thing. I wish they would have set up for the match next week. They didn't have to do everything all at once. Like I'm glad they did explain the story and I'm glad the Iconics came out, but I think they should have saved the match till next week.
What did you think of the Iconics and the whole match?
It was good. It was fine. It was short again. I feel like they should have gone longer, which is, I feel like that's why they should have saved it for next week. I'm sure this is not going to be the last time we see of these two go ahead each other. And it was very obvious what was going to happen. But I really just feel like it would have been a way better build up if they would have just saved it for next week. I'm telling you, I don't know why they felt like we have to do everything today, right now, Raw. But
I had a sense that they had difficulty filling 3 hours because we're going to talk about it a little bit later. But they played the entire like later half of Sasha versus Asuka from last week.
yeah, they did. They really did.
Yeah, my favorite line of this segment is that Liv, you should have stayed in the bathtub.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm really upset about, and I guess this is the same comment from Shayna and Nia situation, this would have been perfect if Iconics had the championship.
Yeah, I know. Totally.
Again, this is kind of a problem because championships are held in one team. Tactile has nothing to do with them, too.
No, at all. At all. They should have lost them.
Annoying. Hope they drop it real quick. I do love them, but, drop it.
I just think, too, they're going to have really good matches once they actually give them some actual time because I feel like they all work really well. And I feel like this is going to be a time where we could see Liv Morgan step up again, too.
Okay, so let's go to the whole situation with the role models, Asuka and Shayna. The video did a pretty good job. They explained the storyline, and then later I got a little confused about certain stuff, but I'll talk about it later. Shayna came out, and she punched the heck out of Sasha Banks.
I feel like punches are kind of lost in wrestling nowadays, so it's nice to see just a straight up somebody punch somebody in the face.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like that's IRL stuff. Like if you're really pissed off by somebody, you just want to punch them in the face. You're not gonna go set up and do a German suplex or like a sidewalk slam to somebody if you're pissed off at them. So I appreciate the realness that comes with punching somebody in the face. More people should punch more people in the face in wrestling.
Just in wrestling. So Shayna versus Sasha Banks was booked from this, which is, I think, one of my dream matches for sure.
For sure. I was like, we haven't seen this yet.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this. As soon as we talked about it, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be real good.
So this was a very short match, a little under 5 minutes. What did you think?
Okay, I'm just gonna go and say it. How the is there a DQ when there's a two people are not even in the match?
You're right.
Oh my
No.
god!
No.
I was so hot about it. Like, what? I'm hot about it right now. How does that make sense? What are we doing here? Why was it a disqualification?
That made less sense than Maurice attacking Kelly on the table and then she got disqualified. So like, it was so stupid.
It made no sense at all. That almost like ruined their whole segment for me because that's all I could think about.
I do have to say though, I did really enjoy this taste of their match.
Yeah,
I think Shayna did a really good job telling a story, doing that whole mind game. Shayna is so unique as like visually too, but the way she runs a wrestling match, I think it's so great. And just Sasha adapting her style to anyone she wrestles with, changing it up to like best showcase their talent. I think it worked really well.
I agree. I mean, Sasha is such a good worker. Like, I know like she's a good wrestler, but when you're a good worker, it means that you make the other person you're wrestling look good. Like, you know, and like people can do moves and do flippy stuff and do fun, flashy stuff, but Sasha can go. And I think she's really proved that a lot this year. Like she could really adapt to anybody's style. Like Shayna wrestles very differently than Asuka or Kairi or anybody else does, but she could definitely adapt to their style and knows how to play up to their strengths. So it was really good. I just can't wait to see what they could really do.
So DQ happened, which made no sense. And then they played like the whole 15 minutes from the last week's match. Wait, so like Sasha Bailey left,
Yeah.
and then Asuka cut a promo.
And then they had another entrance.
Yeah, and then her hair was all like brushed. I don't know
Like,
what.
wait, what?
But also, Asuka's promo really confused me / made me really upset. The implication I got from Kairi and Kairi's last appearance is that she was attacked backstage and then she was taken out of action or something, that she can't come back to WWE. And Asuka's very upset about that. I thought that was a story they're telling.
Yeah.
But here, Asuka was like,
Kairi, we'll be okay. She's not here. I am here.
What? You were just so pissed off because they did this to your best friend and you had that moral struggle within yourself, and now she's like, she's fine.
maybe it was Asuka's delivery. I think that is scriptwriter's job to make sure that her message is delivered correctly.
Yeah, I agree.
Even like written on the paper, I still don't think it's gonna make sense. Kairi will be okay. She's not here. But Sasha Banks and Bailey's here. I am here. Like, how does that?
It doesn't make any sense. It's like continuity, I think, has been lost a lot in a lot of storytelling. Because this would have been a great time, how we were talking about last week, like that inner struggle, but she lost her best friend, she lost her title, and now she's like, it'll be
Almost. That's the vibe I got. Like, she didn't seem like she is feeling the pain of her partner being gone. I just didn't see any of that. So it just seemed like the follow-up from last week was not there.
It was really weird. It almost seemed like that didn't happen.
And it pisses me off because it was such a great storyline.
It was. Oh my gosh. Such great opportunity that they missed for sure.
So I'm very pissed about it. Pissed!
Did you say missed?
Missed?
This is gonna turn into an infomercial.
Other than that, we saw Extreme Expose make their return with completely new members
What is going on?
in the underground.
And the Extreme Expose 2.0, it was really weird because I felt like they wanted to show them but didn't want to show them. So they had like legit like 100 camera cuts in like 30 seconds.
I feel like Naya, now that she is suspended in WWE programming, should join the underground and just defeat everyone.
Yeah, totally. Why not?
Either Naya or Shayna goes there and like just defeat everyone. Because I feel like it would be perfect for them.
Well, I wonder what kind of stuff will be in next week. I mean, I guess that's what they want us to tune in for? How did they get disqualified?
All right, with that, let's sign off. Paloma, where can we find you?
You can find me at Paloma Star on Instagram and Twitter. Hey, and shout out to everybody who has been tweeting at AEW to get me and Moxie the Shirata. Thanks. Appreciate it, everybody.
And you can find me at DS and Ring the Bell DS on Twitter. All right, bye.